They want to know what? They want to know which snare drum heads to buy, like concert snare drum heads? Remo Ambassadors. Is this thing on? By Remo Ambassador Heads. Okay, stop me if you've had this experience before. You go back to your percussion section and there's that snare drum. It has seen better days. You can see that all the coating, the label, everything has worn off of it because the director 3 directors ago was the last person to change that drum head. And you know that you have to change it. And so what you do is you go online and you type in drum heads on your favorite drum equipment purveyor, and you go to their drum head section and you sort by concert drum heads, and you sort by size 14-inch. And even when you put all of those filters on, there's still what feels like 1,000 different kinds of drum heads. There's Renaissance ones, there's Renaissance Diplomat, right? There's Ambassadors, there's snare sides and batter sides, there's clear ones, there's hazy ones, there's African, You go through and you just start panicking because there can't be this many different snare drum sounds. Nobody needs this many. I just want them to tell me this is the one to buy. If you don't watch all the way through this video, as a band director who is a non-percussionist, you will be able to get the most bang for your buck from, on the top, the batter side is a Remo coated Ambassador, and on the bottom is a Remo Ambassador Hazy. So you're looking for coated on top, hazy on bottom. If you get those drum heads for your snare drums, you're gonna be set. Those drum heads will sound great. They're very durable. They will last a long time. They're not very finicky. They're very easy to take care of. But I want to go through some of the other options that you might run across, why you might pick those options, and just give you some other information. I am not going to put all of these drum heads, I'm not going to swap a bunch of drum heads today because I have better things to do, and you can see my room is messy. I didn't clean it for anybody. And school starts in a couple of days. But hopefully you can get an idea of why you might have some of these other drum heads. So let's get started. I have a short snare drum stand today, so I'm not going to be playing my snare drum up at my armpits. So this is a jazz band snare drum, but it's the only one that I currently have that has Remo Ambassador drum heads on it. This is a coated Ambassador X. It needs to be replaced, but you can still see the coated has a textured finish on top. So you can kind of hear that it kind of grips onto my skin. And that's really good for 2 things. One is it helps reduce some overtones, not a bunch, but some. But more importantly is if you're using something like a brush for a snare drum, that texture is what helps make that sound. If you have a smooth head, the drum won't respond correctly to that. On the bottom of this drum head is just a Remo Ambassador Clear. A little tip, free tip for you is I spent so many years trying to tune drum heads and try and get like the ringiness out of them. And then I would always feel like a real failure when I ended up having to put a wallet down on them. And it was like a real personal thing where I felt like I couldn't get it done. And then I watched a video series that was the principal percussionist of the Met Opera Orchestra talking about his snare drum setup. And one of the things that he had in his snare drum setup was he just has a towel on his snare drum at all times, and it's hooked on there with a couple of these little binder clips. And so I just went to Target and I bought some like 75-cent towels, and every snare drum that I have now has a towel that is just affixed to the drum. So when you're looking at drum heads, the things that change when you change what line they are and what coating they have, the things that change are you can have drum heads, the film that the drum head is made out of can be thicker or thinner, and it can have a coating or it can have some sort of other synthetic material kind of blended into that film. Make sure that you are using a batter side head for the top and a snare side head for the bottom. The batter side heads are thicker. The bottom head is there, you don't hit the bottom head, but it's there to resonate sympathetically with the top head. As you get thicker heads, usually what happens is the pitch gets lower on the drum. So everything being equal, all of the tensions being the same, a thinner drum head will have a higher pitch. And then depending on other factors, either the terminology is that it's either wet or dry, which I don't love, but wet basically means that each individual hit will last a little longer. Drier means shorter, wetter means longer. The Ambassador line, for the most part, all of them have kind of universally a good balance between sustain and dryness, between high and low, and between being durable. So the Ambassador head is a little bit thicker than the Diplomat heads. So it's a little bit more durable, and it's like 95% of the way there. And I'll play these a little bit. It's not a perfect match because it's a different drum, but I think that you still can hear it. This is the Remo Ambassador sound. Nice sounding instrument, gets the job done. Again, this is what 95% of people are going to want to use for most of their needs. This is my sort of daily driver snare drum. This is my kind of middle of the road, run of the mill, the one that I tell my students to use most of the time. It's a Pearl Symphonic. It's the one that has 3 different kinds of snares on the bottom. Those 3 different kinds of snares activate at different volumes, which is really nice. And on this, I have Remo Diplomat head. So this is a coated Diplomat M5, which is actually their thinnest Diplomat. It's a 5mm drum head. And on the bottom is a Remo Diplomat hazy snare side. So we have the coated thin drum head on the top, the hazy Diplomat on the bottom. What you'll hear as I play this one is that the sound that it gets is a little bit higher, it's a little bit brighter, but it's also much, much drier. It's much, much more precise. If you've got the snare drummers who can be super precise and you're looking for a slightly nicer tone quality and you trust your percussionist not to damage it, the Diplomat series is a great line of drum heads. It's really, really fantastic. This is the Diplomat drum head. Great drum sound. You can still hear that it has a really, really defined attack. It can go from very soft to very loud with no trouble. Again, it's a really, really wonderful sounding drum head. If you're really picky, like I am sometimes, the Diplomat heads are great. I like the M5, but the regular Diplomat is just barely a little bit thicker than that. So this is the last drum that I'm going to talk about today. Some of the drum heads that you'll see, like from Remo, they have their Renaissance line and their Fiberskin line, which looks like this. This is the Fiberskin line. These drum heads are designed to mimic the sound and feel of traditional calfskin heads. And so where they are the most used is on these kind of older style military field drums. So this is a Pearl Philharmonic field drum. It's a beautiful instrument. I'm not telling you that you need a field drum. What I am saying is that we use it sometimes, like if we're playing a march, something that is kind of a military tradition, or if a piece is trying to evoke that kind of military drum, we will use a field drum to evoke that a little bit more. It's much deeper, as you can see. And being deeper, it has a much lower sound, and then the thicker, more textured drum heads that we use on it make it a little bit less bright and poppy. It's still very accurate in its playing, but you were looking for a different sound. So if you're wondering what the Renaissance and the Fiberskin drum heads are for, they're for this kind of drum. I actually really like the Fiberskin drum heads on concert toms. I think that they sound really nice on those. This is the field drum with the Renaissance head. All right, so again, it has a much lower timbre, but it still has a really nice sound. Quick side note, I did not buy all these drum heads for this video. I had all these drum heads because I'm a hoarder. I had all these drum heads because these drum heads are the replacement drum heads for things that I have. So I did not just buy a bunch of drum heads that I'm never going to use. These are all replacement heads that I have on hand in case a drum head breaks. So hopefully you got some valuable information. Hopefully it makes a little bit more sense why we would have more than one kind of drum head. And hopefully you have enough information that you can fearlessly go and make that decision to buy the Remo coated Ambassador head. That's the only head you need, really, unless you're a weirdo like me. Have fun directing band this year. Good luck to you, and I'll see you next time. Got my new microphone. Hi.